6th of June, 1944. Allies are turning the war. Yeah, I can't sing, but what of it? Although, what if I actually said that sounded good? It's like, General, you sound like crap. Or if I just, someone actually say I sound halfway decent. You never know. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are invading Normandy on June 5th, 1944. I guess I got the date wrong. Try asking people what happened on June 6, 1944, and I can guarantee you most people won't be able to answer that question. They will have no idea whatsoever. But then again, that's not too surprising, since not everyone remembers, you know, dates like when there was a big invasion. If I'm not mistaken, roughly 15,000 people died. Well, no, 15,000 Allied personnel died. There's a lot more, obviously, on the other side, and there's some civilians who also died as well. Anthony Beevor covers that quite extensively in his Second World War book and his Normandy invasion book. Both are very interesting reads. I would mention more about John Keegan, but I haven't read his stuff in a while. Whereas I've just recently, like just a couple months ago, read Anthony Beevor's stuff. One of the things they did with the bombing campaign. Now, one of the things about Anthony Beevor that's rather interesting is he always goes on about how the bombings, the actual strategic bombing, wasn't nearly as effective as people would like to think it was. And I'm not sure how much I believe of what he says, simply because I've read elsewhere that it actually was pretty effective. The thing is, what you'll find as you read through this stuff, some things will have worked, some things won't. It's like it varies from author to author in many respects. But yeah, like one of the bombing things that Anthony Beevor writes about is they were going to bomb some cities on purpose to stop the flow of reinforcements, which is a pretty harsh thing to do. But at the same time, when you're trying to win a war, well, not everything is perfectly friendly when it comes to that. I couldn't think of the right word. Alright, so every time we jump, it's like the plane always gets shot to shit. Now, really, the DC-7, not the DC-7, the DC-3 is one of my favorite planes of all time, actually. Yeah, we're never over the DC. That's one of the big things that happened in the bloody Normandy campaign. 20,000 paratroopers were dropped. Or, I don't know, maybe it wasn't 20,000, maybe it was 10,000, I can't remember the numbers. It was over like 5,000 paratroopers dropped, and they didn't really get dropped where they were supposed to be dropped. But that actually had the benefit of confusing the Germans in many respects, not really knowing where an attack was going to come from. But can you imagine jumping out of a plane with all these people shooting at you, and you're the only ones in Normandy? Now, I thought it was at night, but then again, this once again could be some, this could be just a little bit of artistic license. Now, we're going to try to get a challenge drop, which I think is in that house right there. I think. Yeah, that looks like a parachute. Looks like a pair of shoes. Oh shit, we can make it! Oh, come on, come on, come on, do it! Yes! Haha! I at least hit the bloody parachute. I don't think it'll count, though. I got it! 1 of 5 skill drops, motherfuckers! Alright, we're running the... Shit! We're running this in 1080 because YouTube won't upscale to 2K. And we're also running this in H.265, which is cool. Now, for those of you who probably don't even care about that, it's like H.265, what the hell is that? It's a fucking compression type of thing. I'm a fucking computer nerd, whatever. Yeah, I got the shotgun just for variety. And I completely missed that guy twice. 3 times. Good thing he ran at me. Now, this is one of the cooler levels, but not really the coolest. The coolest level is still the last level. Now, once again, we're halfway through the game, sadly. But what a game it is, ladies and gentlemen. And when I was recording the earlier episode, I was actually kind of tired. Smack him! Smack him! I can smack you too, asshole! I'm actually pretty tired. I do not wake up with coffee, because I hate coffee. I never drink coffee. For soda. I just picture Dracula showing up like, well then here's the soda. It's this Big Red. I do not like Big Red either. Big Red, it tastes too acidic for my taste. I like kind of, I don't like sodas that are overly sweet. I don't like overly sweet stuff. And one thing that's kind of funny talking about sweet stuff, I was actually watching a podcast yesterday, because yes, I do watch podcasts, other than my own. I watched an interesting podcast where it was these British guys who watch various bits of cinema, like RoboCop and the like, complaining about American Hershey's chocolate. Hershey's chocolate isn't that bad! Although that's all I've ever had, so, you know, I guess I wouldn't really know. Okay, let's try to get that other challenge drop. Oh shit, can we make it? I like Hershey's. What's wrong with Hershey's? They've gotten smaller over the years though. Oh, can I make it? No! Yes! Haha! I think we got it. Did we get it? Does it count? Come on, get cover, get cover, get cover. Give him a shotty up. Now, this is one thing that is kind of silly, but it makes sense. Yeah, we just discovered it didn't count it because we didn't land it. It's supposed to land through the door. I didn't know that. I thought it was supposed to land on the parachute, but whatever. But that's one aspect of the game that, once again, there's more artistic license, where we get radio updates from command and control. Yeah, that didn't happen back then. Really, one of the things that's interesting about World War II is that's really when technology like that started coming into its own, but it was still in its infancy. You had, and I've always been confused by the two, but I think I got it right now. And that is, of course, you have the walkie-talkie, which was a much larger setup than you'd think. It was like this big radio pack that you had to like charge up with like this bicycle kind of thing. And then there was the handy-talkie. That was actually something you could carry, like, by hand, but it only had, like, a mile's worth of range, whereas the walkie-talkie had something like 5 miles worth of range. But I always got those two confused. Because, like, when you think walkie-talkie, oh, it's the one you walk around with. No, that's the one where you set up and you got the guy on the little bicycle and he powers the bloody thing. That's still better than what you had in World War I, though, where you didn't even have that, where it was, like, it took, like, 10 men to haul the thing around. It had, like, range of, like, a mile, if that. That is one of the bigger problems with World War I. One of the reasons why they couldn't keep anything coordinated is because they didn't have good means of command and control. They had telephones and stuff like that, and my grandfather mentioned, he obviously didn't fight in World War I, otherwise I'd be older than he is now. But when he was in, they had, what killed me? I honestly don't know what I got shot by. I'm just getting shot to shit over here. But he mentioned that, you'll see this in World War II movies and things of that nature. You'll see telephone headsets or handsets connected by a wire to a tank. Well, one of the things he mentioned is that tank would take off at like 30 miles an hour, and you're left holding on to that bloody fucking telephone, and it's kind of hard to keep up with that tank. I think there must be like might be some play in the line there, because I can't imagine my grandfather keeping up with a 30-mile-an-hour tank. But yeah. That is one of the things that they could have had back then, though, because they had the tech back in World War I. They could have put a telephone thing on a tank, but nobody really thought about it. What's interesting is there's a lot of stuff that seems obvious to us now that they didn't really use back in the day, like drop tanks. According to my research, it took a while for them to discover the shit. God damn, he's certainly pumped up on meth, ain't he? And they actually did use meth back in World War II. That's why they were able to sortie that much. I remember reading, like, I think it was Hans Ulrich Rudel. He went on like 300 sorties in like a week. Well, it could have been a day, I can't remember. But it's a massive number of sorties in his Stuka. It's always interesting to study the individual troops from World War II, though. You don't know how much of it's embellished. And everybody, well, I say everybody, many of those troops, especially on the German side, were sometimes known to embellish now and again. But then it's like, well, how much of that is embellished, and how much of that... It's kind of like with Rommel. Anthony Beevor is not a big fan of Rommel. He talks about the Rommel myth, where Rommel's like the greatest guy ever. When in fact, according to him at least, Rommel was a mediocre commander. You'll see that on the internet as well. They're like, okay, dude, you need to figure out where you're going, otherwise somebody's going to shoot you with a shotty. Shit. I'm actually doing halfway decent with a shotty now. But normally I do not. Now see, this is not the Winchester 1897. This is a Winchester something. I can't remember. I cannot remember what this shotgun is, to be perfectly honest, just because I've never owned or have shot a Winchester. I've stuck with the Mossberg 500. I'm a big fan of the Mossberg 500, as you guys would know. So I'm not really sure what this one is. I've always wanted an Ithaca shotgun, though. Because the Ithaca shotguns are pretty cool in that they do things a little differently from other shotguns. This, of course, has a standard side ejection, but the Ithacas, apparently, well, not apparently, I've seen it, Ithacas will actually eject to the bottom, which is an interesting way to do that, and that basically means it's a completely ambidextrous shotgun. But really, though, when it comes to shotguns for me, the Mossberg just... It's really hard to do better than that. I'm just going to miss him every shot, aren't I? It's hard to do better than the Mossberg 500. Now, the Maverick 88, I've never shot a Maverick 88, but from what I've heard, they're more or less the same shotgun as the Mossberg 500, except they got a crossbolt, and they're manufactured in Eagle Pass, Texas. Basically, they assemble it in Eagle Pass, Texas, but I think like they manufacture the parts in Mexico. That way it's a little cheaper. And I imagine it's of the same quality, but the Mossberg 500 itself is manufactured in, I think, Connecticut. It's just interesting how, in order to keep costs down, you have to export and import and things of that nature. But, hell, that's how you keep the cost down. And no, I don't believe in protectionism like a certain individual may or may not. But I like to avoid politics. Ugh, politics. Everybody, I think, the thing is, like, I'm not really what you'd call Mr. Political. I'll read the stuff, I'll listen to the stuff, but I'm not, like, looking at it 24/7, you know? So, like, just as the guy on the street, I personally am fucking sick of it all. And it's so vitriolic these days. And Reddit is, like, way worse than it used to be about politics. It's like, you look at the front page, in between stuff about people's cats, you have... And this is why Trump is evil and terrible. It's like, I don't really care. It's just, can we all just get along? No? Why am I not surprised? Now this, of course, is another cool mission because that... See, one of the things about setting up a good level is the level has to look good. And what I mean by that is, if the level doesn't look good, it's just, you know, a bland corridor. Having to attack a really, really cool looking, you know... radar dish there, that just looks cool. It makes the level feel that much better. And the problem with modern day gaming, in many respects, is the fact that, you know, they don't make the level look cool. They have to have the cool scripting and things of that nature, but it's just, that radar dish is very, very memorable. And they really do make those helmets shiny in this game. That's one of the interesting things about the graphics, is everything has kind of a sheen to it, kind of a gloss. And I'm just gonna miss every shot. But a decade ago, it's kind of hard to, it's amazing to think about. Oh crap, run! Fall back, fall back, fall back, fuck you. Fuck you! It's amazing to think that this game is from 10 years ago. I always like to wonder though, what were you guys, the fans, doing a decade ago? Some of you might not even have been born yet. Graduating from high school and all the rest. I know I mentioned this in one of the episodes. It's still just crazy to think about though. And really, though, I didn't have a computer that could have run this back in the day. And also, look at how detailed that bloody uniform is. I mean, that is really good. That is really good detailing. That's why I tell you, there is that graphics plateau. There is that indeed. Smacky smack! That was a really weird kind of explosion. The explosions in this game look kind of strange. I mean, like, they have like this weird 3D effect on them. But you also notice there's not really any gibbing or anything like that. Which is fine, because it does keep the graphical complexity down a little bit for the consoles. And I can still live without it. And also, I'm pretty sure this probably got a teen rating. Which is always good for maximizing profit. Really, I don't think we're going to see, outside of the indie scene, anything quite like... Soldier of Fortune. I need to Let's Play that game. Oh wait, I did years ago. I don't know. When it comes to Brutal Doom, for me, I like it just because of its basic gameplay changes, not because of its, not because of its brutality and gore, just because I'd already seen it in, you know, Soldier of Fortune. And what's interesting about Brutal Doom and games of that nature is it's less brutal and more kind of, well, not kind of, it is realistic. Because shooting somebody with a shotgun like that, that's going to leave them... Oh, shit! I thought that was going to fall, but it does not. Now, I don't know why that bit blows up there, but it's still cool nonetheless. Oh, so you gotta love the disappearing parachutes. Yes, because Travers does everything. But you know what? If I wasn't doing it, then why am I playing the game? Now, if only we could have, you know, fucking Travers and BJ Blazkowicz join up. And yes, there is indeed Hitler. I mentioned that in the review. That is indeed a movie. I've yet to see anything on YouTube for it, though. But I came across it on alternatehistory.com. Oh yeah, we're about to be attacked by a tiger tank. For it is always a tiger tank. But this is a really cool introduction of a Tiger tank. This thing is just a big... Oh, you gotta love the growl. Oh, shit. It's the Tiger 1. Now, it's not quite as big here as it is in real life. I'd love to see one in real life. I know the Bovington Tank Museum has one, and I'd love to see that. I really, really would. And this is our boss fight, the fucking Tiger 1. Now, really, since that's an 88mm fucking flak gun, just shooting it once would, like, blow up both houses. That guy would literally be red mist right now. Not the villain, but literally red mist as in, like, blood and bits of body. I'm a big fan of Kick-Ass. I haven't read the comic, although from what I've heard, the comic isn't very good. I actually have a friend who is a big fan of comic. Well, when I say a big fan of comics, like, I read comics, but I'm not like a comic fan, so to speak. And he absolutely despises Kick-Ass, the comic, particularly Hit Girl. I thought Hit Girl was quite endearing, although she was kind of a, well, the female equivalent of an asshole, which I guess you could say is a bitch, but I would think a bitch would be something else. Shit. Realistically, I should be dead from the concussion alone from an 88mm like that. Now, what we're actually assembling here is a recoilless rifle. Now, my grandfather mentioned when they were working with those things... Crap, crappity crap, run! Must be over here. Mentioned that when they were working with recoilless rifles, that they like set up like some apple crates. I think he mentioned. He was specific about the apple crates. Set up some of those behind the recoilless rifle itself. It was to demonstrate the backblast off of one of these things, and they basically fired off one of the recoilless rifle shots. How does he know I'm up here? And how does he know I'm a threat? I'm just a guy with a shotgun. How do you know? How do he know? It's like, you know, totally OP, man. Okay, yeah, this M18 recoilless rifle did not exist as of this battle, but you know what? It's fucking cool. And it's always good to actually see a different bloody anti-tank weapon other than either A, a Panzerfaust, B, a Panzer Shrek, or C, a bazooka. Okay, I saw that fucking tank shot. Now, realistically, I shouldn't have a body anymore. I should literally be atomized. But thankfully, I was able to respawn. I resurrected myself with the sheer power of manliness. Boyd Travers is Resurrection Man. That actually is a comic character. Let's land on the roof, shall we, and pick up... I totally planned it this way, actually. Because I am such a Okay, pick it up. No. I already have it. Shit. Turret shot. Now, theoretically, the turret shot should have blown him up because the turret is the thinnest part of the tank, if I'm not mistaken. Well, the top of the turret is the thinnest part. The mantlet on that thing is actually pretty bloody thick. The Tiger 1 was a pretty badass tank. The only problem is, oh yeah, because I'm going to totally get him from a Glacius. Well, you know what I did? Yeah, that's what you get for being a wallet warrior. Alright, so we are going to go and attack near, I think, like the beaches is where we're about to head to. Okay, do I have... Okay, I still got my rifle. I do not have my shotgun anymore. Also, USS Texas, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad the USS Texas cameos in this game. I've actually been there, and the USS Texas is literally one of the coolest battleships of all time. The Missouris wish they were as awesome as the USS Texas. Although what's pretty amusing, though, is the fact that the Texas is actually part of the New York class. New York City? I think not. But there's only 2 of them made. I believe that is actually a no, it's not a pre-dreadnought, I don't think. No, I think it is a pre-dreadnought, if I'm not mistaken, because of the way the guns are set up. I think it was a pre-dreadnought. But whatever the case may be, it's still a cool battleship. Served in World War I and World War II. And so it was quite a distinctive vessel. There's been ongoing efforts to keep it preserved, and it still looks cool. And you just never really... You can't really imagine just how big a battleship is. Like a legitimate battleship. Unless you've actually been on one. I've been to that battleship a couple times. One recently last year. I still need to edit that footage, but I got so much of it. I just really haven't had the time or the inclination to just go through about over an hour's worth of footage to get it all edited and looking right. But it's still, that was a really fun trip, though. I do want to go back there again, like sooner than like a couple of years from now. But one of the other ships I want to go to, and I've mentioned this multiple times, I still want to go see. I might as well use this once. It's actually featured somewhat prominently in the trailer. Not that it's really good for much. Well, except for that. Well, actually, he survived that. Oh crap! Oh shit! Shit! I like how he survived that, even though once again the concussion should have killed him. Actually reminds me of that really hilariously bad Battleship movie. There's one good scene in that Battleship movie, and that's where they're getting all the vets onto the actual battleship itself. That was cool. But, like, the rest of the movie's just kind of... The rest of the movie just isn't very good. And, like, they don't really use a lot of the actors. Like, they don't use Liam Neeson. If I'm not mistaken, he just kind of sits on his ship for most of the movie, which I guess makes sense, but still. The guy they got playing the main character, I haven't seen him in much, because I think his career kind of collapsed because of the bad movies he was in. Because he was in John Carter, but I like John Carter. I know that movie flopped hard, but I enjoyed John Carter quite a bit, actually. It was like an 80s movie, which I guess is probably why it flopped, because all the millennials are like, this movie's boring, or something like that. Whatever their complaint was, it wasn't a valid complaint. Because the more 80s the movie, the better. Alright, let's get in here. I shoot him in the back. Now, does anybody have, like, a submachine gun that I can, you know, expropriate? Yeah, no head. Now, one cool thing about this level is the SGG-44 shows up. And as I always say, that's the win the game button. I mean, seriously, there's no better weapon in World War II, personal weapon, I should say, than the SGG-44. Crap. How did he get behind me? Doesn't matter. That's the only time I can really see me use that pistol, because this pistol is not that good for much. Dude, don't run in here. You're gonna get shot. Just like that. My fucking bots just don't do very good. Or they just like to charge in and start hitting people with their rifle butts. Which I hate to admit kind of works a little bit. But still, though. What do you think this is? Fucking medieval times? You know, there really does need to be like a medieval first-person game. Structured like a war shooter. A war cutter, I guess. A war slicer? I don't know. Yeah, I need blew up. I could... It'd be nice if I could order them around, but this... What is this supposed to be? You know, Brothers in Arms? I enjoyed Brothers in Arms 1 well enough. I've not played the other games in the series. Yet. And I can't even get... Holy crap, there's a lot of grenades. But Brothers in Arms Road to Hill 30 was quite a fun game. Too bad it doesn't work. I'm pretty sure I could fix it if I spent a lot of time, but I'd rather have reviewed this game than Brothers in Arms. And once again, I can have another World War II shooter once, because there's plenty of those out there. And here's hoping we get more if Call of Duty World War II turns out as... God damn it! Turns out as good as I hope it does. Call of Duty World War II, having heard that they're going back to health packs, hopefully, they won't go for as much scripting as they do in all those other Call of Duty games. If they do that, I will be happier than you can possibly imagine. Well, maybe not that happy, but still. Because, oh come on, really? Because seriously, if they can get rid of all that scripting and actually give us, if they just make Call of Duty 2 again, well, that escalated very quickly. This gave us Call of Duty 2 again. If they gave us Call of Duty World at War again, I'd be happy. Because while I rag on Call of Duty, I mean, when Call of Duty's good, Call of Duty's good. If they just... The thing is, they need to give the developers time to develop a game. This game started in 2004, okay? 2004. This didn't get made overnight, so... I don't know. We'll see what happens. You just have to wait and see. And I will just shoot everywhere but the enemy. Okay, where is my recoil... Okay, I do not need that recoilless rifle. As cool as it is, give me my appropriate... Give me my favorite fucking kind of gun imaginable. Now, there's another game, I've mentioned this before as well. I would like to eventually let's play Darkest of Days. That is such an underrated shooter, and it's actually pretty bloody fun, and it's very imaginative. It seems like after 2007, 2008, it's just like a lot of games started losing imagination, and it just became crappy cookie-cutter clones. Now, of course, there are some problems with Darkest of Days, you know, like the regenerative health, but still, it is a good game all around. It's not like the super amazing, awesome, great game of Great Justice, but it's still a fun game nonetheless. And it is original. I'd like to see some more like alternate history games. We're starting to get more of those though. We got Wolfenstein New Order and Bioshock, the Biofab War. That's not a real game. That's a book. There just need to be more sci-fi shooters in general. There's so many books I've read that would make such good video games if ever somebody cared enough to make a video game out of them. Like the Biofab War, where literally you have sci-fi weaponry and fight aliens. You fight the alien and aren't afraid of anyone. The Biofab War in and of itself it's not a game, it's a book I intend to review at some point. Now that looks really cool. That entire invasion force. Now I've actually seen well, not seen, I've actually heard, dude, where's your gun? Why are you air gunning? Why is your buddy there air gunning? Oh, there it goes. Why were you air gunning? Now, I don't think this is close anywhere. No, this might have been accurate. I think I might have read something about this, where they might have attacked from the rear. I don't know. I can't remember. I can't remember everything about World War II, you know. At least without proper research. But this is still another cool element of the game. And they have SGGs. Fucking get to cover. Because these guys are extraordinarily well armed. Like, extraordinarily well armed. Now, that's where it gets a little historically inaccurate. Because, oh crap. You know, you got an SGG-44, dude. Come on. Alright, here is my chosen weapon loadout. SGG-44 and G-43. This is excellent. Now, one thing is kind of hilarious, though. You saw me put that scope on there. There is no scope rail on this thing. It wouldn't just quick detach like that. It's not like a quick mount. This isn't an AK. Or specifically an AKM. This is not an AKM, like, at all. Because on some AKM rifles, there will indeed be a scope reel. I'm not sure if that's on the original or not. On the original AKM. But you can see that on the civilian AKs you can get today, they'll have that little scope reel. Not all of them will, but most of them do. The one I wanted that I couldn't get because I didn't have the money, the OPAP had it. Actually, no, the OPAP I don't think the OPAP did have it. I think it didn't have it, so I would have had to put one over the gas block. Whatever, I can't remember every gun ever made. Well, look like Ian from Forgotten Weapons. But at the very least, I know the INPAP has it. The INPAP, of course, being it was a cheaper alternative to the OPAP. It was a slightly thinner construction. It had a few civilian gubbins on it. Because the OPAP was more military. Obviously, it wasn't full auto, because not only do you have to have a special license to own a full auto firearm, but full auto firearms are a lot more expensive. But it had a thicker receiver. And it didn't have this special thing built into the charging handle. Not the charging handle, built into the safety that had this little slot so you could keep the gun locked open. That's much more of a civilian kind of thing to have. Because a lot of ranges do want you to have that bolt locked back. That's one of the things I love about the SKS is it has a bolt hold open mechanism built right into the gun. But I wanted that OPAP. Oh, really? He's just gonna... Oh my god, he just comes in and he does a lot of damage smacking me in the face. Dudes, get out of my way! Get out the fucking way! And I just launched that guy. It'd be nice if you could order the boss around. It doesn't have to be a complex system. Just get out way. Get out the way. Move. Now, let's see. Oh, shit. Fall back. Hide behind boxes. It's trench warfare. It's Call of Duty World War I. You know, if they'd done it right, it would have been good. Sadly, we didn't get that. There's also like a rumor once of like Call of Duty Medieval Warfare. Yeah, like that'll ever happen. You just imagine. You know, you could actually do Call of Duty Napoleonic Warfare though. Like if you remember like the French military, you could have like that air. No, was it the French? No, I think it was the Austrians. They used like there was one country that used an air rifle that was actually pretty powerful that held like 17 rounds, which, you know, in the days of flintlock muskets was a pretty major evolution of firepower. As you can see, this weapon is just absolutely superior to everything, because I literally can just wreck every shit that ever shitted it up. Like look at that. That's why this gun was so good. Because, you know, you've got 30 rounds, whereas most everyone else has like 5. But of course, all these guys are armed with SGG-44s, and that's pretty much all we're going to find throughout the rest of the game is people armed with SGGs. Because it is that good of a gun. That's not entirely accurate. I think they made about 1 million of these in World War II. Just not that many. Alright, and that was the Normandy level, ladies and gentlemen. It was a great deal of fun, and now we finally have the greatest gun in the game. The greatest gun in the weapon. Wow, I speak good. The greatest weapon in the game, the SGG-44. This was an excellent level all around. Once again, if you'd never played it, it would have gone on a little longer, but it was... There was no... It's a good way to explain this. There was no filler in this level. Yeah, it could have been longer, but it was just as long as it needed to be. And so, I am GeneralLotz, wishing you good SGG-44 all day, every day, or whatever makes you happy.